The CFPB was officially closed by the Trump administration, and every action at the CFPB has been paused. This is not financial advice or legal advice, and I am not an attorney. This is for educational purposes only. I've been fighting this fight for far too long about consumer rights. Everything from debt collectors to creditors to repo people and all of them in between, fighting the credit bureaus for every single consumer out there for over a decade now. And I'll be honest, the CFPB to me was like a hero, and it still is, because they were one of the only entities that went after the largest credit repair company in the United States. They were sending a message that you can't scam Americans anymore. They took them out of business and they had to file bankruptcy. It was one of the largest lawsuits in American history against Lexington Law. And because of that, a lot of people have been reaching out to me and say, hey Mike, what's gonna happen with the Lexington Law settlement? No, you're still going to be able to get paid out. They actually have the system set up on the phone line, so you just have to call and actually talk to somebody and ask to speak to the person that's handling the payouts for the Lexington Law case, because it's still active and you can still get paid out for it. But here's the big but. There are still lawsuits that are active. Yes, they have been paused, but they have not been dismissed. That's the crazy part about this entire situation. So on today's episode, I'm gonna cover all of those cases. I have a document that was sent to me with hyperlinks showing every single case that is on the docket right now and what is at risk if we lose the CFPB completely. But before we get into this video, make sure that you smash that like and subscribe button so this video gets out to more people, so everyone can stay informed about what is truly going on with the CFPB. I'm gonna say this again for anybody out there that does not understand this. The CFPB is not a disputing platform. It plays zero role in the credit repair process. The CFPB is a complaint center. All of these scammers out there that are saying, oh, you know, we're gonna work with the CFPB to get these items deleted in 24 hours. That's a scam. That's not how the process works. The credit repair process works with disputing directly with the 12 credit reporting agencies, not just the big three, but all 12 credit reporting agencies. The CFPB is only a complaint center, so if you have an issue where something happened with the credit reporting agency, they didn't respond, you can file a complaint with the CFPB. Filing a dispute does nothing. They're just gonna send it to TransUnion or to the creditor, and that's it. And people are like, well, they should do something. If it's accurate, complete, and fair, what do you want them to do? They're not just gonna delete it because you think it should be deleted. That's unfortunately not how it works. Someone was so kind to drop this memorandum into my lap so I could actually tell you guys about what's going on and have all the proof lined up for me. So this is a memorandum from the Consumer Federation of America to interested parties. I mean, okay, I'm an interested party. I feel honored. So let's go ahead and just start at the top. Acting Consumer Financial Protection Bureau Director Russell Vought has frozen all of the Bureau's existing enforcement actions. Leadership has completely ground to a halt all enforcement activities, including in matters that are in active litigation. So hear that. Leadership has completely ground to a halt all enforcement activities, including in matters that are in active litigation. So all of these cases have been paused, but they have not been dismissed. So that is the silver lining here. But it goes on to state, this means that no work is being done on time-sensitive and critical litigation matters like discovery, expert preparation. Leadership has canceled all contracts with expert witnesses and work on pending motions and briefs. This memorandum aims to immortalize the full sweep of 38 pending CFPB enforcement actions as of publication, including 2 cases against predatory lenders that cheated military families in red text. This memo also includes a list of 3 pending actions to enforce compliance with mandatory civil investigative demands from the Bureau to obtain more information about whether these companies have violated the law. Those actions include the following in reverse chronological order. This is where it's going to get really good. You're going to be shocked at all these cases that are pending right now. This first one is a huge one, Capital One. The Bureau sued Capital One for cheating consumers out of more than $2 billion in interest payments on savings accounts. The bank unlawfully misled consumers about its 360 savings accounts and obscured its higher interest savings product from them. Capital One, you ain't looking good right now, fam. Now next up, Experian Information Solutions, filed on January 7th. The Bureau sued Experian for sham investigations of credit report errors. Experian does not properly investigate disputes and fails to remove or reinserts errors on reports, threatening consumers' access to credit, employment, and housing. I'm gonna come back and revisit the actual lawsuits with the credit reporting agencies because I have some groundbreaking information for you, but I just don't want to drop it in this one because there's a lot to cover in this video. Now, next up, Vanderbilt Mortgage and Finance filed January 6th. The Bureau sued Vanderbilt for setting families up to fail in manufactured home loans. The Berkshire Hathaway owned companies pushed people into unaffordable loans to purchase Clayton homes. Just predatory lending. This next one is huge. Walmart Inc. and Branch Messenger, December 23rd, 2024. I don't know how this slipped by me, but I didn't even know this even existed, this specific case. The Bureau sued Walmart and Branch Messenger for illegally opening deposit accounts for more than 1 million delivery drivers. Walmart and Branch harvested more than 10 million in junk fees through Walmart's Spark Driver program. Next up on the list, Rocket Homes Real Estate LLC, DBA Rocket Homes, JMG Holdings, filed in December 23rd of 2024. The Bureau sued to stop an illegal kickback scheme to steer borrowers to Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Homes provides kickbacks to real estate brokers and agents to steer prospective borrowers to Rocket Mortgage. That's pretty wild. And then you wonder why they're trying to shut down the Cfpb. It's pretty obvious. Look at all of these cases. This next one is massive. Early Warning Systems, that is owned by Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and Wells Fargo, filed on December 20th of 2024. The Bureau sued JP Morgan Chase Bank and Bank of America and Wells Fargo for allowing fraud to fester on Zelle. Americans have lost hundreds of millions of dollars to fraud tied to payment network shoddy safeguards. Listen, I've heard of so many Zelle scams, it's not even funny. So this is really not a joke because a lot of people have been heavily affected by these scams with Zelle. Comerica Bank. The CFPB sued Comerica Bank for systematically failing disabled and older Americans. Comerica hung up on recipients of Social Security and harvested junk fees from them. That's crazy. Stick with me here. We're just getting warmed up. There's a lot of these cases. This next one is awesome because I hate this credit card. This is for Horizon Card Services. I've never talked about them because, of course, they're horrible. The CFPB sued Horizon Card Services and CEO Robert Kane for illegally baiting, gouging, and trapping families in high-fee credit cards. Consumers were charged up to $300 a year in fees, and card could only be used to buy overpriced items from Horizon's online store. This one's crazy. Acima Holdings. This is wild. The Bureau sued Rent-A-Center affiliate Acima and Acima's founder Aaron Aldred for illegal lending practices. Acima deployed deceptive digital dark patterns to obscure key terms. Next up, Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency. The Bureau sued the student loan service provider for pursuing borrowers for loans discharged in bankruptcy. The lawsuit alleged that PHEAA illegally collected money that borrowers do not owe, and that PHEAA reports false information to credit reporting companies. That's insane. These people filed bankruptcies, their student loans or whatever were discharged in that bankruptcy, and then they're like, nah fam, you still gotta pay us again. What's wild about all these lawsuits, they hit almost every single different industry. Next up, Solo Funds. The Bureau sued Solo Funds for deceiving borrowers and illegally extracting fees. The company advertised zero-cost loans, but deployed digital dark patterns, resulting in almost every borrower paying at least one fee. Next up, Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance. The Bureau took action to require National Collegiate Student Loan Trust and the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency to pay more than $5 million to student loan servicing failures. The defendants ignored student loan borrowers seeking payment relief, including during COVID-19 national emergency. This next one is one of my favorites, Strats FS. They went after a debt relief scam. I cannot stand these debt relief companies. They're all a big sham and a scam. The CFPB and 7 state attorneys general sued the debt relief enterprise Strategic Financial Solutions for illegally swindling more than $100 million from financially struggling families. The defendants run an illegal enterprise that collects fees but delivers little relief. Next up is Colony Ridge Development. The CFPB and the Justice Department sued the developer and lender Colony Ridge for bait and switch land sales and predatory financing. The lawsuit alleges the company targets Hispanic borrowers with false statements about home sites. Next up, Heights Finance Holding. The CFPB sued an installment lending conglomerate for illegally churning loans to harvest hundreds of millions in loan costs and fees. A Curo Group Holdings company, Heights Finance, formerly known as Southern Other Management Corporation induced struggling customers into a fee harvesting and loan churning scheme. Now, I'm going to make sure to put this in the video description for anyone that actually wants to go and look at it on their own so you can actually check it out. Next up is Snap Finance. So the CFPB sued Snap Finance for illegally luring Americans into expensive financing and bullying borrowers using false threats. The company hid terms and conditions and deployed illegal debt collection tactics. Is this from Snap-on Tools? Because it sounds very familiar, but I could be wrong, so I don't want to, just blame it on them, but it kind of sounds familiar to Snap-on Tools, but I could be wrong. This next one is huge. Credit Acceptance Corporation filed on January 4th of 2023. The CFPB and the New York Attorney General sued Credit Acceptance for hiding auto loan costs, setting borrowers up to fail. The major subprime auto lender targets Americans with loans that it predicts they cannot afford to repay. They basically get you into the car, they know you can't afford it, and then guess what? They got some money off of you, and then they repo the car, and then they resell it again. Yeah, it's pretty predatory. All right, I'm gonna scroll down to the Moneyline Technologies. This is a huge one. This is a reason why I do not support anything with Moneyline. Filed September 29th of 2022, the CFPB sued Moneyline for overcharging service members and trapping consumers in costly memberships. The online lender allegedly required customers to pay hefty fees to access loans and often refused to cancel memberships. Next up is Populous Financial Group. The CFPB sued Ace Cash Express for concealing no-cost repayment plans and improperly withdrawing consumer funds. The repeat offender kept borrowers in debt and in the dark, generating at least $240 million in reborrowing fees. Next, MoneyGram International. The CFPB and New York's Attorney General sued the repeat offender MoneyGram for leaving families high and dry. The company ignored government warnings to stop and stranded customers waiting for their money. This next one is really good. TransUnion. Okay, the CFPB charged TransUnion and senior executive John Danner with violating a law enforcement order. TransUnion deployed digital dark patterns to dupe Americans into subscription plans. Now this is crazy, and this makes sense because a lot of times when I would drop videos about how to freeze your TransUnion, people would say, Mike, I can't find the link. It doesn't exist. I can't get a free one. And I'm like, what are they talking about? This makes sense right here. They literally were launching these dark patterns to force you to go into it and say, okay, well, I guess I got to pay for this subscription to see my TransUnion report. Now let's scroll down a little bit to First Cash Inc. The CFPB sued various pawn lenders for cheating military families. First Cash Inc. and Cash America West Inc. allegedly made pawn shop loans to military families in violation of the Military Lending Act and a 2013 CFPB order. Now, there are going to be people that are going to come into the comments and they're going to say, but that's what the FTC is for. The FTC doesn't handle stuff like this. It's hard for people to understand that, and to understand because of the Frank-Dodd Act, everything was moved to the CFPB for consumers, and consumers now have a direct area that they can file a claim against any company. This is how these cases happen. With the CFPB potentially gone, this could literally eradicate all of these cases. Why would you want to do that to consumers? But you're supposed to make America great again, right? And for those of you that do not know, they have already terminated probationary period employees from the CFPB. So they have literally dismantled leadership's teams. So leadership has a team of people that work underneath them to help build these cases, structure them, and do this properly so they can help consumers. And now their teams are completely gone. I just really wanted to come out here and just show you that the CFPB is truly fighting the fight. Don't believe this nonsense on mainstream media and everything. I brought you real solid proof to show you exactly all of the good that the CFPB has been doing. But hold on. Let's look at some numbers, because I'm a numbers guy too. Not only did I bring you proof, but let's just show you the numbers also. Look at the numbers before we jump into these cases. So enforcement by the numbers. As of January 20th, 2025, the CFPB enforcement actions have resulted in $19.7 billion in consumer relief. That's pretty crazy. 197 million people eligible for relief. That is amazing. And then you have $5 billion in civil money penalties. These companies broke the law. They had to pay the penalties. So we'll scroll down to the summary of the data of enforcement actions and ordered consumer relief. So you can see these are all the numbers of enforcement actions as it got started in in 2012. This was the Obama administration, and then the Trump administration took over, and then that was pretty crazy. Look at that. It started slow, dropped down, then it picked back up. And then you have 2021 to 2024, still action there. But then you scroll down to consumer relief and civil money penalties by year. This is where you break down every single year how much was actually put back in the pockets of American households. I mean, just look at the numbers. This is insane. There's been no other agency that has done this. So for those out there stating that, it's not true, I mean, the numbers are right here. It's pretty obvious. Like, anyone can come see this. This isn't fake news, as you like to call it. But as you can see, look at the amount of money that's being put back into the households of Americans. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We covered another big one on the CFPB pending cases that are still active. They have not been dismissed. Now make sure that you watch this next video, because it is the other video that I made about the CFPB and all of the other information that you may want to learn more about. And if you felt that I brought you some value in this video, make sure that you don't forget and subscribe to increase your credit score.